Broward County's beaches will be closed for the 4th of July weekend amid the surge of new coronavirus infections, said Broward County's mayor. Now, a decision on whether to close Palm Beach County beaches could follow. Palm Beach County Mayor Dave Kerner said in a published report that he is in discussions with the county administrator and a decision will be made as soon as possible.
Mayor of Miami-Dade announced last week all Miami area beaches will be closed from July 3rd through July 11th. In addition to beach closures, the mayor's order also bans gatherings of more than 50 people and no public viewing of fireworks.
This weekend marks the first since Palm Beach County officials passed its mask mandate. Now, starting Monday in Indian River County, employees serving the public and people visiting county facilities must wear a face mask. This only applies to areas of unincorporated Indian River County, not to cities and towns. The city of Vero Beach will discuss face coverings at a meeting Tuesday morning at 9 a.m.
And St. Lucie County commissioners expected to discuss facial coverings at a special meeting on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. On Friday, they delayed a vote on whether to mandate them for certain workers. Now, the county administrator did issue an executive order mandating masks in St. Lucie County buildings starting on Monday.
Now, here's a look at where mask mandates stand in other parts of our area right now. In Palm Beach County, masks are now required in public places. Martin County has ordered restaurant, retail, and grocery store workers to wear face coverings. The rest of the community is strongly encouraged to wear masks in public. In Okeechobee County, no mask mandate, but they are strongly encouraged. However, members of the public must wear masks while inside any county office.
And this was in new today that effective tomorrow in Martin County, masks or face coverings will be required for any employee or adult visiting school district property. This when keeping a distance of at least 6 feet from others isn't possible. Now, this directive will remain in effect until further notice, and the requirement has no immediate impact on the district's plans for reopening schools in August.
Now, take a look at this video, a time lapse showing the extremely long lines to get a test for COVID-19 in Jacksonville. We're told that this testing site eventually hit capacity and had to turn people away. You can get updates on the coronavirus pandemic on air and on our free WPTV News app. We also have a section of our website dedicated to our coverage, WPTV.com/coronavirus.
Residents gathering today with officers and the chief of police in Port St. Lucie to discuss change in their community following the death of George Floyd. WPTV News Channel 5's Treasure Coast reporter Derek Lowe with more on the discussion.
The organizer of today's event wanted to be very clear when she said, not all cops are bad cops. Bontra Leakin says she reached out to Chief John Bolduc and her community requesting that they come together to discuss both change and the narrative associated with police officers. She says that she asked all of the men to wear suits so that they could be seen in a positive light. Chief Bolduc says nobody should condone or defend what happened in Minneapolis.
Excellent opportunity to be retrospective. To look at yourself and look at yourself hard. I hope this is an opportunity for that kind of reform to happen.
Chief Bolduc telling us tonight that he has used the George Floyd incident as a teaching opportunity for his officers within the Port St. Lucie Police Department. Reporting in Port St. Lucie, I'm Derek Lowe, WPTV News Channel 5.
All right, another hot and humid day across South Florida. Hazy sunshine out there and a few storms firing up on the west coast of Florida. They won't have an impact here, but we do have some rainfall around Indiantown. That'll pop up cell just in the last 15-20 minutes. That is working toward Canal Point, just south of the Beeline. There's a close-up view of it, and it's moving west, so it won't have an impact along the coastal communities. There's a look at our current temperatures, high 80s, low 90s. When you factor in the humidity, though, it feels like about 100 with the heat index running in the triple digits again tomorrow. Here's the hour-by-hour forecast. Great evening on the way. There is high rain chances for South Florida as we go through this week and into the last few days of June. We'll have your full forecast coming up.
Traffic back to normal right now on Florida's Turnpike. A crash on the highway had all southbound lanes blocked beyond mile marker 105. That's south of the Beeline Highway exit earlier this afternoon. No word yet on what caused this crash or the extent of any injuries.
Some traffic relief on the Treasure Coast. 4 lanes of the Roosevelt Bridge in Stewart are now open. FDOT opened 2 lanes in each direction on the northbound side of the bridge yesterday. And there are changes to the intersection at Wright Boulevard, including no left turns from US 1. Also, a 5-ton weight requirement is in place. The bridge was shut down more than a week ago after chunks of concrete fell and inspectors found severe corrosion. The southbound span could be closed for months. FDOT hopes to reopen Dixie Highway under the bridge in about a week.
Well, the coronavirus has meant big changes for many of us. How upcoming decisions from the Supreme Court could also impact your life soon.
We really needed to figure out a way to stay connected with our artists.
The Creative Way One Florida Camp for the Arts continues while also staying safe. New cases of COVID-19 are continuing to surge in over 30 states as the Trump administration stresses the importance of wearing masks in public.
Meanwhile, the president dealing with the coronavirus crisis and facing allegations about Russian-ordered attacks against Americans in Afghanistan. Jennifer Johnson reports.
Vice President Mike Pence speaking to a crowded Dallas church and meeting with Texas Governor Greg Abbott as cases of COVID-19 surge in the Lone Star State.
We are one day closer to the day we put this pandemic in the past.
New cases of COVID-19 are breaking records in places like Florida, South Carolina, Nevada, and others. New York's governor, once the country's epicenter, sounding the alarm.
If these states keep going up, we're going to have a national crisis like we have never seen. They said this was the way to help the economy by reopening. It's been the exact opposite.
White House coronavirus task force doctors and some members of the Trump administration say Americans have to wear masks and socially distance.
The window is closing. We have to act, and people as individuals have to act responsibly.
President Trump on the golf course Sunday facing this crisis and new allegations that Russian intelligence paid bounties to Taliban-linked militias to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan. The New York Times is reporting the president may have been given a briefing on this in March, the president denying that on Twitter.
I've never recalled a circumstance where the president himself goes out of his way to say he wasn't briefed on something.
Russia's foreign ministry calls the report nonsense, but members of both parties in Congress want an investigation, and Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, held accountable if the allegations are true. Jennifer Johnson, WPTV News Channel 5.
Lots of Saharan dust out there, and our temperatures still in the high 80s, low 90s. We will cool off this evening. More heat and humidity on the way. I'll have you a forecast through the last few days of June and into July 4th coming up.
Scholarships, voting, abortion rights, and whether the president must turn over his tax returns are all set to be decided. Joe St. George shows you how rulings from the United States Supreme Court could affect you and your family.
It's quiet right now on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., but that will change next week. Major rulings are anticipated as early as Monday morning. Expected case number 1, changes to the separation of church and state. Well, this case is out of Montana, which bans in its constitution public aid to religious schools. Similar bans exist in 38 states. The Supreme Court ruling could allow students in religious schools the ability to seek private scholarships funded through state income tax credits. Expected case number 2, changes to abortion rights. This case is out of Louisiana and challenges a law that says abortion providers must have admitting privileges in hospitals. Abortion rights supporters say this will close clinics because not all providers work with hospitals. Expected case number 3, this one is out of Colorado, and it asks, can state electors to the Electoral College vote for whomever they want? Per tradition, these electors vote for the presidential candidate with the most votes in the state, but some say that doesn't have to be the case. And finally, expected case number 4, does President Trump need to turn over his tax returns when subpoenaed? It could open the president up to new controversy prior to the election. Opinions are set to be issued on Monday and Tuesday of next week, although the court won't tell us which days they're issuing exact rulings. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Patrick's Cathedral in New York hosting its first public mass in months this Sunday. The Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, celebrating. The Archdiocese limiting attendance to 25% capacity due to the pandemic. St. Patrick's has been holding mass by live stream only since March. The faithful were allowed inside starting on June 1st, but only to pray.
If you were set to travel during the past 3 months, you might have delayed or canceled your trip. Now many are asking airlines for a refund instead of a travel credit. According to a federal rule, if the airline cancels a flight, it has to give you a cash refund option. But what if you decided on your own to cancel? Keep in mind that by law, airlines don't have to offer a refund. So here is what you can do. Consumer Reports suggests you call the airline and emphasize that the government and experts had recommended that you not fly. Dispute the charges with your credit card company. The Federal Trade Commission even has a form letter to help you with that. And if you're having a conversation with the airline, make sure it sends you a confirmation email about what it is promising.
You're doing this through a live chat. You can print that live chat, copy paste the conversation into a document.
The U.S. Department of Transportation shows in a typical month it receives about 1,500 air travel service complaints. But in March and April of this year, there were more than 25,000 and a majority surrounded refunds.
More than half of colleges in the U.S. are getting ready to return to campus this fall. The Chronicle of Higher Education tracking more than 1,000 colleges. 65% are returning to campus for in-person classes. That includes Tulane University. It plans on reducing classroom density and will end the fall semester before Thanksgiving break. But some universities like Harvard plan to hold most of their classes online.
New college graduates have fewer jobs to apply to thanks to the COVID pandemic. Glassdoor just released new numbers today showing that entry-level jobs have dropped by 68% since this time last year. New grads are focusing on the tech industry. Software engineer and business analyst roles are seeing the most job applications during this time.
Well, drivers likely to pay the cheapest prices for gas this summer in 4 years. That's according to the latest forecast from AAA. Right now, the price of a gallon of regular unleaded, $2.03 in Florida. Nationwide, AAA says prices likely to average about $2.25 a gallon. AAA estimates Americans will take more than 700 million trips, but that's down about 14% from a year ago. The overwhelming majority of those trips will be by car as people are taking a wait-and-see approach and are likely to book more long weekend getaways than summer vacations.
All right, you're probably looking at